How's it going, folks, and welcome back. It's episode number 73 today, and if you watched yesterday's episode, you already know what that means. If you didn't watch yesterday's episode, I say yesterday's episode, today's Sunday, I think, as you watch this. The video went up on Friday. Do go check it out. It was against Manchester United. Today we've got the Copa del Rey final, and then for the second half of today's video, we're going to have a look at kind of the world of football in the save game. So a bit of an overview of things. I asked you guys last episode if there was anything specific you wanted to see. You know, I would do it, and that is the plan for the second half of today's video. Now, that all said and done, before we can look at the wider footballing world, we're going back to our own footballing bubble, to the Copa del Rey, where we take on a Real Madrid team who have won this competition 5 times out in the last 6 years. Yeah, they take the Copa del Rey pretty seriously. We, of course, have had some domestic success, but it wasn't in the proper trophy. It was always in the Super Copa, which just isn't the same as the Copa del Rey. And having never made it, I don't think, to the quarterfinal before, this year, we're in the final. We've got a full strength 11, and I'm really hoping that we're going to do the business. The team is pretty much the team that I played in the first leg against Manchester United. Tonali, he's finished being a naughty boy. We've, disciplined him. He's come back. He's not banned for this game, so hopefully he's going to be able to put in a good display for us. And the good news is, for the rest of our team, we're just about at full fitness. Unfortunately, Nianzou is currently out for a week. He would normally be on the bench. Also, Fabian Luzzi, who's always in a good impact sub to have, he's continued his little spree of getting injuries all the time. He's twisted his ankle now. Now, this is a man who's not listed as injury prone, but since he's joined the club, he's now had 6 injuries. Prior to that, he hadn't had an injury in about 2 years. So maybe I'm just bad luck. I know some people are going to say, it's your physios, Jack. They're all bad. No, my physios are quite good in general, I think. I mean, you could see here the injuries year on year. I think we talked back in December about how it was going really well, and then we ended up getting a load towards the end of the month. It's not been a freakishly bad season for injuries, but we've certainly started to pick up a few more as of late. The good news is the first team is unaffected by those. The only real dilemma I have is the Avramides one of, do I want to play Avramides? And I know I kind of joke about it and say he scores every live com. He only has 10 goals this year. I feel like a freakishly large amount of them have come on the live stage. And you know what? With that in mind, I think I'm going to start WorkTheSpace today. If we just compare the two players here, you can see Avramides, in terms of just from a raw attributes perspective, is probably the better of the two players. They're slightly different players in that regard. But if we look at them head to head here, you know, goals per 90 minutes, you can see here, WorkTheSpace is just the man putting in the better performances. And you know what? I think he's the man I want to rely on for this final today to hopefully bring us a goal or two. Of course, he had a bit of an impact last episode, just a few days ago, when he came on off the bench against Manchester United to get the first of the 2 goals in that comeback. Of course, we've got the Champions League semi-final kind of looming on the horizon, but for the here and now, the Copa del Rey is where our focus remains. And you know what? No more dilly-dallying, no more delaying. We are taking on Real Madrid, who I think over the last kind of 8 years of this save game have been the most successful team in Spain. Whilst they've not been as successful in the league as of late, and certainly this season they've been a disappointment, the Copa del Rey really has been their trophy to lose year on year. I'm hoping that this year we're going to cause a little bit of an upset and get a win in this one. But we'll have to see how we get on here. It's big. It's a cup final. And, the big news is we are at home for it, which is quite kind, if I might say so myself. I feel like that gives us a pretty big advantage, but Real Madrid, you know, they have traditionally appeared in this competition playing away from home, because the way this competition works is it's seeded, the lower seeded team gets to play at home, and despite that, they've won it 5 times out of the last 6 years. But hopefully we're going to put in a performance to remember, as WorkTheSpace is, and that's why I've picked him. He gets an assist inside 6 minutes. Siapina with a really, really nice finish as well for goal number 20 of the season for him. Not going to match his total of last year. Not going to match that record sum of, I think it was 38 goals. But the build-up play was really nice. Some quick, intricate passing through the middle. WorkTheSpace to Siapina. I think Hannibal was involved in the build-up as well. And, deservedly so, I think. We take the lead inside the first 10 minutes. Right, throw in on the far side here. Jolovic gives the ball straight away to Tonali, who's going to look to bring it forward here. Options inside, gives it to Perez, the left back, who's now going to bring it forward. Of course, he was wanted by Real Madrid once upon a time. I mean, they probably still want him now, to be fair, but they can't have him. He's ours. He's one of our own. He's never really been a standout performer at left back, but he has been a consistent and reliable player, which is all I really think you can want from your fullbacks, truth be told. Anyway, that ball forward was a little bit ambitious, to say the very least, for Gökdeniz to get on the end of it. And as a result of it, we surrender possession, and now it's Real Madrid knocking it around quite nicely here. They've got it on the far side. Penteus whips it in, and it's Hasinkveld. Remember him? Dutch striker, world class. Wouldn't have minded signing him myself in the summer. If only I'd had £92 million free. And you know what? We weren't in the lead for very long there. Real Madrid knocking the ball around nicely. Of course, when we met them earlier on this season in the league, we won 3-0. Not having a repeat of that today. Perez on the far side. I've bigged him up a little bit. I've said he's the unsung hero. Maybe he'll be the sung hero today, although Hannibal, superb touch, misses the opportunity. Hannibal last year was on loan at Real Madrid. He's a bit of a familiar face to their players. Unfortunately, on that occasion, he broke clear, he broke through. He just couldn't quite find the breakthrough in this game that we've been looking for. But I imagine he's going to get more chances before this game is over. And while speaking of the devil, he's through on goal here. Is he going to finish this one? Was there any doubt about it? Slotting in at shadow striker, Pedro Porro played him through. Siapina with the decoy run, and the finish on that occasion was a little bit better than the previous one. It took him a little while to get going here. Ball dinked over the top. Hannibal brings it forward. One touch to get it out of his feet. A second touch to tuck it into that bottom corner. It's 2-1. And it's good. It's really good so far. They have been limited in their opportunities. I say all of that. They've taken one of the few opportunities that came their way. They might craft out another here. Valverde, Tielemans, Kanate now with it. And Ndombele to Hasinkveld. Penteus, I mean, that's a nice goal, isn't it? 2-2. I mean, it's a final for the neutrals. It's a final for the neutrals. I need to readjust in my chair, get comfy, get serious now. I mean, that was a chance out of absolutely nothing, wasn't it? Ndombele, Hasinkveld, Penteus. I mean, it's a pretty good finish by the right winger, and that ruins my team talk at half-time, doesn't it? I want to know, how good is Penteus? I want to know more about this man. I mean, he's bloody good, isn't he? I say that. He's fast, and that's kind of it. He's inconsistent. Sadly, today, when he needed to be, he's been consistent and put it into the bottom corner. Right. I'm going to tell the players I'm far from pleased, and then I'm going to try and just motivate them a little bit. But that was a bit of a dampener to end the first half. Although, could we start the second half quickly? That's what I would love to see. Hannibal with it. Back to Perez at the back. The score's a level after 90 minutes. We go to extra time. And Pedro Porro, oh my word, what a ball through that was. His shot is blocked. Starting the second half lively. This is a proper battle, though, isn't it? This is a proper competitive game that we've got going on here. As Gvardiol, his header is saved by Olte. Real Madrid maybe hanging on a little bit in this. Would that be a bit kind on us, perhaps? Although I do think we've been the better team thus far in this game. Although Real Madrid have been clinical. They've looked good going forward, and they come forward again here through Hasinkveld. He's going to be dispossessed, and now it's going to be Thomas Estevez with his lovely locks of hair inside to Galarreta. Hannibal can't quite get there. Luis Felipe for them with it. Could we force a turnover in possession here? We can't, although we will eventually get the ball back here. And it's all the way back to Ramadani. Switches it over to Gökdeniz, who so far I think has justified the decision to start him. Oh my word, that was an awful tackle. That has to be a red card, surely. I mean, if the one yesterday for Tonali was a red, that's a red too. And why, oh my, they are down a man and they are going to go narrow. And if they're going to go narrow like that, am I mad? I might be slightly mad here. I'm going for this. They're down a man, Real Madrid. They've got to be there for the taking here. We've moved the wing-backs forward, and now we have a corner that's going to be whipped in. Gökdeniz to Siapina. And that decision to drop Avramides, and I'm sorry to the Avramides lovers out there. I know there's many of you. I think we made the right call not to play him today. Tonali's ball whipped in was dealt with initially, but Gökdeniz, I don't know if it was a shot or a pass to Siapina. Does it even matter? The ball's ended up in the back of the net. And we've got another chance immediately. Hannibal back post. Siapina hits the woodwork. And Real Madrid, down a man now, down a goal now. There is a gauntlet laid out for them to try and navigate. And we look like we're going to make it difficult because we're on the attack once more here. Obviously, a risk that we get caught out now with the wing-backs pushing up further. But I think it's a risk worth taking to try and get that second kind of goal in this second half to double our lead. But with 20 minutes left, maybe we should look to make some changes. Hannibal is struggling slightly, but I don't feel like I can take him off. Let's take off Capanu, and I'm going to bring in Corridor, I think, for a little bit of experience. Elsewhere, Pedro Porro is not the craziest of games. So you know what? Avramides, come on the right wing. Generally, he's played better out in that wide area, so we'll see how he can get on. With 10 minutes left, though, there is still only one goal left in this game. Real Madrid have not created anything since the red card. I feel like, in a weird way, the red has kind of ruined the appeal of the fixture, but I'm not bothered about that. I don't give a Scooby-Doo about that as Perez takes it down, lays it off to Tonali. And we still have the ball here on the near side. Perez skips past his man. Can he skip past another? He gets the ball into Hannibal, who scores again. And that's it. That is game, set and match. The Copa del Rey, the first proper bit of silverware, dare I say, that's going to be returning to the Racing Stadium is here. I say return. It's already here. We're not taking it back with us anywhere. It's here to stay. The pull back to Hannibal was nice. He did really well to peel off his man. Smashes it into the bottom corner. And in the end, that red card probably did ruin the fixture a little bit for the neutrals. But as far as I'm concerned, what a delightful display. We've not seen this sight nearly enough. The sight of Racing Santander colours and silverware and the confetti raining on down. But today, we get to enjoy that a little bit. And deservedly so, might I add. We've played really, really well in this game. Didn't let Real Madrid have too many opportunities. Took the chances that came our way. And despite them going a man down, they never really looked like winning after we took the lead, Real Madrid. It was a top quality display, a disciplined display. And the kind of display I suppose you expect to see from a team who are top of La Liga and are probably going to be christened the best team in Spain this year. A domestic double looks on the cards. There's still a Champions League as well available for the treble. I really feel like we've built a team here. And I feel like that was on display here, wasn't it? Hannibal gets man of the match. I wonder how this kind of second half of the season would have gone without Hannibal here. Like, would we have been as successful? Would Pablo have been able to do what Hannibal's done for us? 2 goals to his name in that one. I mean, he's quite good, is the TLDR. Every game he just seems to turn up and just give 110%. He's a player who loves big matches. 4 goals and 1 assist in his last 5 games. I'm going to say now, this could be the man who wins us a Champions League in the coming seasons. It might not be this year. Of course, I hope it will be. But looking slightly further forward, I mean, he's 25. He's entering his prime now. I can't believe United let him go to us, really. Anyway, folks, we're now going to go into the next portion of today's video, which is going to be looking at the world of Football Manager in this save game. Now, at the time of me sitting here recording, the video that you're going to be leaving questions and answers to has not been up for very long. So my plan is to go away, come back, have a long list of questions and requests, and go through them in the second half. So I will be back in just a moment. And Future Jack, take it away. Let's have a little look at this world that we have in Football Manager, shall we? Hello, everyone. It's Jack of the Future here, I suppose. We're back. In the intro of this video, I said you would be seeing this video on Sunday. That's not the case. I am now recording this portion of the video on Monday morning, with the video going up in a few hours. If you're wondering, where's your face, Jack? Why didn't we get an episode yesterday? There was a power cut where I live, and it caused some issues with my electronics, which basically meant that I spent a day fixing my computer and bits to do with it in order to be able to do video stuff. It was a pain in the buttocks. The good news is there is no lasting damage. We're back here now. There's a cable that I need for my camera. Besides that, panic averted, disaster averted. We're here. We're, well, in the living in the now, I suppose. And we've got Just Andy on our screen. The reason we start with Just Andy is because there was someone in the comment section who, of all the requests that I saw, I thought it was the most random, someone who I hadn't thought about in ages. So for that person who asked, where's Just Andy? he just retired after he left us. Yeah, bit of an anticlimactic end to his career, but he departed on his merry way. Of course, he was part of our best 11 in our second season. In our first ever season, you can remember some of these names, perhaps players like Ivan Crespo, who of course retired after departing the club in 2022. Elsewhere, though, a couple of players did leave their mark on the game. Gyabua, currently playing for Schalke, moved for 4.7 million, playing in the Bundesliga. Obviously, he was a representative for us for a year and a half. Nice to see that he's actually developed into an okay little player. Elsewhere, Lyle Foster. He was a man with high hopes and aspirations, wasn't he, when we loaned him for the first couple of years? Of course, he did have some issues with injuries, as you can see here. He's still playing his trade in Portugal. Bit sad, really. This is the first year ever where he's played a full set of games. In terms of other players from this very early best 11, you may remember Cejudo, who went on to retire. We have Ricky here, who retired aged 30. Basically, all the players who played for us in the third tier were quite old, weren't they, is what I'm realising. Although Pablo Andrade, pleasantly surprised, he's still alive and kicking. He's playing in Brazil. He's been playing in the third and second tier of Brazil for a little while. Is that the worst rating I've ever seen for a player? 5.62 over the season. That probably is for that many games. To be fair, it didn't look like he has much of his legs left over the left back. I certainly wouldn't be playing him as a winger. Obviously, there's a whole host of players. I can't go through these all, but players like Diego Ceballos, he was playing for Tenerife for a little while. It goes without saying that, obviously, with this little recap, we can have a look at a few oddities like this, but really I want to take a more general, broader overview. When the save game wraps up, I will, as I do with all my save games, provide the save game for you guys to go and check out yourselves. You know what? One more player. Can't hurt. Cedric is a manager. Age 33. He's not a very good manager. I know someone's going to tell me in the comments, Jack, give him a job. I'm not doing it. You can't make me. He retired a year ago. He was playing for Pontevedra, of all teams. Looking at it, he wasn't playing for them particularly well. He got 1 goal in 9. So I think one of the big things that people wanted to look at was kind of all the big winners and losers of this Football Manager universe. And as you can see here, when it comes to World Cups, we've of course had 2. You may remember when Norway won it because we made a bit of a thing about it. 2 years ago, the Dutch, they won the World Cup. They won it in the final, 3-2. That's a banging final, to be fair. The Ukraine finished 3rd of all kind of teams. A little bit odd. France, by the way, twice finishing runner-up. They've got to feel pretty hard done by about this. One thing that makes me a little bit excited, even if it is only in Football Manager, England set to be the next hosts. I mean, that's something you like to see, isn't it? In terms of the Euros, they're actually happening this summer. I mean, the Spain job has never become available. Looking at their group, they're probably going to make it through, so it's probably not going to become available anytime soon. But you can see here, in terms of past winners, the Italians, of course, won it in 2021. I say, of course, that is pure chance. I'm not on an updated database. The Football Manager predicted it. Why did I not put a bet on? I could have made billions. As for 2024, Portugal won it. Portugal winning it 2 out of the last 3 years is kind of impressive, I suppose. Portugal in this save game, though, when it comes to their club football, have done reasonably well. I guess the next thing to look at, really, is the World Awards, isn't it? Like the kind of Team of the Year, the best players, all that good stuff. And interestingly enough, despite everything, despite the fact that we're kind of, quite far in the future, it's still real players winning everything. It's the usual suspects in terms of the Goal 50, which I think is the award for, the best attackers. I could be completely wrong there. It could be just skewed in favour of attackers. Harry Kane apparently is the best player ever. He's still playing for Tottenham, incidentally. He never forced a move. Did he win anything with them? He won the Premier League in 2023. People think this game's realistic. In terms of Ballon d'Or winners, there's a dominant force. His name is Erling. I have to edit it. I'm not giving this video to editing Jack. I can't not say his full name because he's been involved in absolutely everything, even if he is a bit suspicious at the moment. He's been absolutely mad, has Erling Haaland over the years. Transferred for Man City for 185 million. The only player to win the Ballon d'Or in the last 5 years besides him has been Romelu Lukaku, who, to be fair, we've come up against firsthand. This year, he's really not done that well for Real Madrid by his own incredibly high standards. Maybe, finally, old age starting to kind of catch up with him. I think it's always interesting to look at kind of the under-21s best players and, the European Golden Boy. You can see here, in terms of best young players, Erling Haaland winning it, not surprised in. Wirtz, though, in this save game has been pretty pretty good over the years. Even if he's a player who I've never really seen shine that much in Football Manager, showed some good promise in his early years at Leverkusen. Camavinga has won it with Arsenal, and more recently it's been Dortmund dominance is what I was trying to say. Moukoko, he's good in Football Manager. He's reasonably good as the German international. He is still playing for Dortmund in the save game. More recently, Jugen. That's definitely not how you say his name. It's probably Jugon. That's probably how it'd be said. It's French. He's been the best player. He's bloody good, isn't he? He's 21. He already has 29 caps for France. They bought him for £104 million. I mean, to be fair, his return has been absolutely mad. But 104 million they signed him for at the age of 18. Christ. In terms of the team of the year, we won't look through all the years. We'll look at the overall one, which interestingly enough, Thomas Muller appears at centre attacking midden, which is not a man I was expecting to see here. With respect to Thomas Muller, simply because this kind of overall team of the year for all the seasons is just all the seasons since we started playing. I guess he had a pretty good end to his career over at Bayern Munich. Elsewhere in this team, I mean, it's the usual suspects. Ansu Fati, the kind of player who I'd be quite keen to sign at some point. You can see here, moved from Barcelona to Bayern for 105 million, and then Dortmund signed him for 119 million. Did Dortmund in this save game get bought out by a tycoon or something? Because the amount of money they are spending is absolutely just stupendous, it would seem. I mean, they spent almost 436 million 1 year. Dortmund have just become a powerhouse of German football. I'm now curious to look... Okay, never mind. Bayern still win everything. Bayern never moved back to the World 11. With the amount of Dortmund we've seen everywhere, I just assume they'd be having some success. You can see here, Camavinga is playing for Arsenal in the best 11, although he did move to PSG for 111 million. All these big transfers happening around me, and I've not been able to make any of these kind of moves. In terms of the back four, it's all still real players, actually, is what I'm noticing here. Players like Van Dijk, Alaba, in a Liverpool kit. I mean, as a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't mind that. Probably not realistic given his most recent move in real life. It's interesting to note, though, that, we're 8 years into the save game now, and it is still regens that, for the most part, kind of dominate the overall best 11. Even if we look at last year's best 11, I mean, we've got Jugon here. Besides that, though, I think it's just all still real players. Alex Merritt in goal is an old one, isn't it? I mean, he's got 5 caps for Italy. He's not going to get it ahead of Donnarumma, I imagine. Worth noting, it's just PSG, Man City and Barcelona, isn't it, when it comes to all the players themselves? I mean, I'd love to enter these kind of European elites, but it just feels like with our finances, no matter what we do, we're never quite going to get to the level of some of these teams that have this kind of quality of players. We've kind of got to rely on the team rather than the individuals. All I've really learned from this kind of quick look so far is that the status quo remains unchanged in Football Manager. I suppose in a weird way, I kind of feel like I'm further in the future than I actually am with Racing here, just because I guess 8 years isn't that much for an FM save. I'm sure some of you are sat there thinking, I've not got 8 years into a save game this year. My standards probably slightly above the norm. Of course, we know what's been going on in La Liga, but let's have a look at what's been going on in the other leagues. As for the Premier League, you can see here a real variety when it comes to past winners. Man City winning it most recently, but United, Liverpool and Spurs all winning it in recent years. This current year, it could be Chelsea that win it as well. They've got a game in hand and have a better points total. There's a certain player whose name I'm not going to say for the benefit of everyone who's leading the way when it comes to goals and stuff. Although we have a regen doing a little bit of business. 23 years old, Richard Carter for Arsenal, an Arsenal team who have a lot of success when it comes to the Champions League. I'm already wary of them because I think they are still in the competition. They've actually won it the last 2 years. They're taking on Porto in the other semi-final. Of course, our semi-final against Bayern coming your way tomorrow. You have to imagine it's going to be this Arsenal team that we meet in the final, right? They've won it the previous 2 years. Longmire? Answers on a postcard, Scottish viewers. I think he is their key man. I can see why he's their key man. You don't get very many good left backs in Football Manager. He's pretty blooming good, isn't he? With the exception of his off the ball. His physicals are crazy. His mentals are very good. His technicals, I mean, if I'm being super critical, they're a bit meh. I can see why he's their key player. Interesting to see they've got a player called Sake up front, who I think I looked to sign this year. I did. He didn't want to join me. I didn't have 76 million to sign him. He was transfer listed in January. Went for Hannibal instead, which I think was the right decision. He's still pretty blooming good, though. Although I'd probably play him at midfield rather than at striker. Arteta is still their manager, for people who are wondering. But despite their success in Europe, they've not won a Premier League yet. Over in the Bundesliga, we've already looked at it. It's just Bayern winning everything. Musiala is leading the goal-scoring charts. Of course, he is part English, although I think he's declared in real life he's going to go and play for the Germans. How dare he? Fati and also Jugon appearing towards the top. Yeah, not too surprised about that. And then Perry Carr, you may remember this guy. I think, did I talk about him in a video? I feel like it might have been a transfer special. He was transfer listed at one point. I kind of wanted him at one point. He's currently out with an injury. It's a twisted ankle. It's a minor one in the grand scheme of things. He's a pretty good left winger, isn't he? I mean, he could play as a striker. I'd probably play him as a striker. I don't have players this good, do I? I feel like this whole video has just turned into a sobering experience. Over in Italy, Juventus are still really, really good. I mean, who would have thought? Patterson Daka is top goal scorer. Liam Delap, following in the footsteps of Tammy Abraham and going to Roma. He is, well, joint top in the goal scoring charts alongside Eduard as well for Juve. So the battle for the Serie A Golden Boot goes on, although at the top of the table, it looks like it's going to be Juventus who win the league. And looking at the past winners, it's not a particularly pretty picture in terms of future competitiveness of Italian football. It's Inter and Juventus running away with it. There's a regen here called Jose Diaz playing for Atalanta with the most assists. I mean, he's quick and agile. Surprised he's got as many assists as he has. I'm not sure why I've gone over to France. PSG just win it all the time, don't they? Has anyone ever got further enough into the future that PSG just aren't that good anymore? I mean, they've won the league. They've got 4 games left. Mbappe is the player with the highest average rating. Camavinga's got most assists. Interesting to note, they've not got one of the top goal scorers. This guy, Odubeko, how is he in the top goal scorers? I mean, I have many, many questions, but how this man is Liga and top goal scorer is top of the list. There's also a regen here who plays for Nantes, who, of course, have been taken over by a tycoon in this universe. He's a little bit better than the guy we just looked at, isn't he? I mean, there's the head-to-head comparison, but they've performed the exact same in the match engine, so, I mean, maybe Odubeko is the future of football. West Ham fans, take note. But yeah, PSG running away with it. And I think the only other league I've got loaded is Liga Nosh, which we've checked upon a few times, to be fair, because it's a league that always seems to do quite well. They've not gone into the top 5 leagues in terms of reputation and coefficient like they have in real life, but you can see here Porto winning it year on year. This year though, Sporting are currently top of the league with only 4 games left of the year, so they're doing really, really well. Benfica and Sporting, to be fair, have had their moment in the limelight. Vitor Ferreira has the most assists playing at centre mid for Porto. He always seems to stay at Porto in my FM save games. Highest average rating goes to Anibal Moreno, who is playing for Sporting. And in terms of top goal scorer, it's currently Eli Visser, or Visser? It's probably Visser. I don't know. I don't speak French. Ironically, I have a GCSE in French. It didn't serve me well. I'm sorry, Visser. You can see here. He's got 16 goals in 30 games. I mean, there's no one running away with it. I mean, it makes me feel really, really good about the fact I've been a bit disappointed by our strikers this year. I mean, ignore Hasunkveld. I suppose even in La Liga, there's not been anyone go super crazy with the goals like Siapina and Lukaku have in previous years. I thought to end this little kind of overview recap, I'd go and look at the European Golden Boy winners. It's just players we've already looked at. It's the German winger, Perry Carr. It's the kind of French centre mid, Camille Jugon. And it's also Julien Falguez, who, of course, was the guy who plays for Nantes. I must admit, when I said that I was going to do this as kind of a part 2 in the video, I thought there'd be way more stuff going on. But this save game just feels like quite a stable one. Sometimes you have mad save games where teams like Nantes have had a tycoon takeover and just challenge the likes of PSG. And whilst, to be fair to them, they are up in 3rd, they're not exactly challenging PSG. It feels like the status quo has kind of just remained the same, which, I don't know. Does anyone else feel a bit sad about that? I mean, if we look at teams in terms of reputation, I'm sure you guys will spot some mad teams up in this list that are super high. I'm kind of surprised Flamengo as high as they are, to be fair. And that Racing team, they've climbed up a little bit, haven't they? I mean, bigger than Villarreal. Not Villarreal, that's Valencia, Jack, you're reading there. I mean, we're probably bigger than Villarreal as well, right? Right, also, Würzburger Kickers. I'm not familiar with this football team. Apparently they're playing in the Bundesliga. Where are they? They're bottom. They've got 17 points. They've yo-yoed more than Norwich City, which is quite an achievement. Although at the start of the save game, they start in the 3rd tier. Maybe? No, maybe it's the 2nd. Either way, they've done really, really well in this save game. They've climbed up the reputation charts at the very least. When I was looking through this list, there's not many teams I've not heard of. I will tell you now, Würzburger Kickers, not a team I'm familiar with. Even as we go down here, it's the usual suspects, isn't it? If we look at the finances for the richest clubs, I feel like the game used to list teams by like value, and then they stopped showing the value of teams, which I kind of miss. There is no way that we're the 4th richest club in the world. I think it just clumps all the teams that are listed as rich together, which makes this whole screen really pointless now I think about it. So I think the last thing to look at here really is the leading transfers, the big money moves that have happened over the years. Worth noting that in 2028, where we are now, I suppose, in 2028, there's not actually been that many deals happen recently. A lot of them seem to involve Manchester United as well, I'm noticing. Haaland has set the record for the transfer. Then it's Yusuf Demir who was actually sold to Dortmund. Where have Dortmund got all this money from? I mean, I guess they're just selling all their players as well as buying all their players. But yeah, they signed Yusuf Demir for 159 million, which was the 2nd biggest transfer ever. To be fair, Demir is very, very good. Elsewhere, Weston McKennie, surprised he moved for 154 million. I mean, with respect to Weston McKennie, is anyone paying 154 million for this? I mean, besides Zealand Shannon, of course, because that man is biased. He's not worth that much, is he? Pedri is up there. His move to PSG was a pretty significant one at the time. He went for 148 million. Kulusevski moved to Real Madrid from Manchester United for 141. I mean, you can see the rest of these moves here. It's kind of the usual FM regen suspects, or not regen suspects, Wunderkid suspects is what I'm trying to say. It's all the Wonder Kids. All the teams are being boring, and then there's just Jugon here again. But yeah, plenty of transfers exceeding the £100 million mark. Quite surprised at how many involve Manchester United, both in and out, to be fair. It looks like they've had a hell of a lot of turnover over the years, including 2024-25. I mean, can we go and look at this year? They spent a lot of money on players this year. They spent out 468 million. Then on the outs, to be fair, they did sell 208 million. It's like I'm playing a completely different game to some of these clubs, isn't it, in terms of the money they spend and sell? It's mad. Anyway, gang, we're going to wrap things up there. Of course, that Manchester United team that play a different game, we knocked out in the Champions League. In the semi-finals coming your way tomorrow, we're going to hope to knock out Bayern Munich. I hope you guys are excited for that episode. I hope you've enjoyed this little overview. As I said, I was hoping there was going to be way more interesting stuff to uncover. Maybe there were some bits that happened that I didn't notice. So if there was anything odd that you saw that you thought, that's weird, and I missed, let me know in the comments. And well, until next time, thank you for watching as always. I will see you guys next time. It is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you all in a bit. I'm out.